Hi. Okay, so today in class we were working on paper folding and we didn't get completely through, so we are continuing paper folding for homework. This is what they brought home, papers. One side is blank, the other has a problem on it. So they have one that says 1/3 times 1/3 and one that says 1/2 times 1/2. And we are focusing on the trick that adults know, and we don't really talk about that yet. We are getting, some of the kids are seeing it on their own, and that's the whole point, is that they are seeing it and not being told this is what it is, because they'll be more likely to remember how to multiply fractions if they figure it out for themselves versus someone just telling them to do it. So with the 1/3 times 1/3, we worked today on making folds. So at first we just practiced folding thirds and things like that. So the first thing is that one of them has to happen vertically, which is up and down, our y-axis, lines of longitude, north to south. I keep saying those things over so that hopefully they make those connections, that all those things are the same thing, that they're columns standing tall. So they don't turn the paper sideways, they keep it vertical. So one of them has to be vertical, the other has to be horizontal. You cannot make two different movements to fold on one fraction. One fraction goes one way only. So with the thirds being vertical, I simply make my thirds. I've told the kids we practice making thirds. You cannot fold all the way in half. You can never get a third from this. So we went part of the way across. And, I told them we're human. It's not going to be perfect. So then we go ahead and make that crease. And you can already see my crease is like really crooked. It's okay. Then with this piece that we see, you can see that it's sticking out. I tell them don't unfold it because then they start making things that shouldn't be made. Keep it folded like it is and then just fold that in on top without, causing it to overlap. And see, I told the kids, I kept showing them, look, mine doesn't line up perfectly. I have this piece right here that's a little bit not perfectly aligned. It's okay because when I open it up, it doesn't matter that they're not perfectly aligned. I can see that I have thirds. I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces. So the next step is to take their pencil and trace the creases. Okay, so we're going to trace those creases with our pencils. And we aren't even worrying about the other part of the fraction. We are just worrying on the first part where we did 1/3 times. We don't even care. The other part doesn't exist for us right now. So I took my pencils and I traced the creases, so you can clearly now see the thirds. So my first fraction was 1/3, so I need to shade one of those thirds. So I'm going to shade, and when shading, right now, we mean actual diagonals, and they're not like going back and forth diagonally, they're going diagonal, picking up their hand, putting it back, diagonal, picking up their hand. And they can do this quickly. Make sure they're on a surface that they might accidentally write on, so you might want to have them do it on a piece of paper. So right now I'm making my diagonals, and only one of the pieces, because only one of them is supposed to be shaded out of the 3. That makes our 1/3. So I'm just quickly putting those lines on there. We don't want them to take forever. They don't have to be like using a ruler to do this. So that is 1/3. Now I am not getting a new piece of paper. I have to use the same piece of paper, the same rectangle, to make my other set, because now I'm done. I'm done with my 1/3. And it's times 1/3. So the other fraction is also 1/3. These are north to south lines. They are vertical. I need to now create horizontal lines that represent a third. I kind of have to pretend nothing is here. I have to pretend like this is just blank. Okay, because it gets in the way if you don't pretend that it's just blank. So I'm going to make thirds horizontally. So to make a horizontal line, see, going east to west, I have to fold it partly down. Again, I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm only going to go part of the way down. And then I'm going to fold it up. Okay, so then here are my horizontals, not vertical. When I unfold it, see, my creases go from left to right. These creases right here are what I'm talking about. So across, that's what we need, is that horizontal line. So then I take my pencil and I I trace that seam that I just made, my crease. And kids have asked, do we go all the way across? And the answer is, does the seam go all the way across? Does my crease go all the way across? Yes, it does. So therefore, my pencil mark, if you notice, it goes all the way across. And then I tell the kids, okay, we need to shade in. What's our fraction? Oh, it's 1/3 as well. So I make them put their pencils on the third that they want to shade in, whether it's here or here or here. I don't care. I have them show me, because I tell them, okay, you put your pencil on it. Now you have to shade from where your pencil is over here all the way across to this side of your pencil at the end where there's no paper. So all the way from starting with no paper all the way across with no paper, because kids start shading and they only shade these pieces that are blank right there. They only shade those pieces. That's not a third. A third goes all the way across. So there's 1/3, there's another third, there's another third, or 3/3, making that whole piece of paper. So they have to pick which one they're shading. And it has to be in the opposite diagonal direction than what you already did. So I am not allowed to go in this same direction with my new set of diagonals. I have to go on the opposite side. So I actually start from the side that is already shaded, because then it helps me see to go opposite. Otherwise, if I start out here, I can't tell what's opposite necessarily. I know that's horrible, but it is true for me, and it might be for others. So I actually start in the part that is shaded, because I'm going to do, this is the third that I'm going to shade, this top third right here. I'm not going to touch these down here. So I'm stopping at my line, so I see what I mean by I'm starting where it's already shaded. I'm going opposite of what was already there, but I've got to stop at that line, and I have got to go all the way across. See, some kids were stopping right there, but my third doesn't stop there. My third goes all the way across there, but not down below, because that would be more than a third horizontally. Okay, so that's what I mean by going all the way across, if you can see that. Okay, so now what I do is I see there's a piece that I call metal fencing, or crosshatch. So I put a big circle in it, like bullseye. I don't do anything else because nothing else has ones that intersect. Yes, that has lines in it, but there's no intersecting lines like this crosshatch, making the metal fence. There's only one of them. So flipping it over with our problem we had on the back, 1/3 times 1/3 equals, well, how many have a circle in it, or crosshatch? 1. That's my numerator then. Then, how many pieces did I create when I made all these folds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I created 9 pieces when I made all these folds in this one block. So 9 is my denominator, my new denominator. So the answer to 1/3 times 1/3 equals 1/9. The product is 1/9. Okay? So we talked about the relationship. They should start seeing a relationship happening. We're like, don't talk about it though. We want everybody to see it for themselves. And also notice that 1/9 is less than the 1/3 that we started with. See here? This is a smaller piece right here. This piece is smaller than all the way across. That makes sense though, because I took something and I took a chunk out of it. I didn't even take the whole piece. I took a chunk out of it, which means I'm taking a smaller piece than what it began as. And anytime we multiply by something less than 1, your product is less than what you started with. So here's my starting point, 1/3. I'm multiplying by 1/3, which is less than 1. So my answer is less than the third that I started with. That's called scale factor. Okay, so then they had a half times a half. So what we're going to do is vertically, we're going to fold, and again, right now it doesn't matter. Both these problems have been the same number times the same number. So it's really not affecting us vertically and horizontally. We will work more with that tomorrow. So, but I still want the kids to understand verticals up and down. So when I make my first fold vertically, it is up and down, not side to side like this way. You know, that's horizontal. It's going to create a horizontal crease. So vertically up and down, creating that standing tall piece. I am folding in half. Why? Because it's a half times a half. So I need to fold it in half. I'm allowed to actually fold it in half. Now I need to take my pencil and trace the crease or my seam. So I did that. Okay. Now I need to shade in half of it. Notice I didn't do anything else. I've not done any horizontal. I've only done the vertical. I've not done until I finish my one whole fraction, which is 1/2. So here is 1/2. So again, I folded it in half. I drew the seam or the crease, and I shaded diagonally 1/2. Now I'm done with that first half. It's done. However, I have to use the same piece of paper, and the second fraction is also half, so I have to create half horizontally. I need a line going across the middle there. So I'm going to fold it in half. Okay, that is going to give me a horizontal line right through the middle there, right there. Horizontal, left to right. So I take my pencil, I trace that seam. So there's my horizontal. Again, pretend like this is white. Pretend like it doesn't exist, right? It's all white, and all I have is I cut this in half. So I'm taking my pencil. Here's the top half. So I would need to shade all the way across there. Or here's my bottom half. Again, I need to shade all the way across. I have to choose one of them since it's only one half. So I am going to, again, start where it's already shaded. I'm going to choose the bottom half this time. So I'm going to start here where it's already shaded, but I got to go in the opposite direction. Okay, so see what I'm talking about? But I've got to go all the way across this half. And I'm doing it quickly. We don't care that it's slightly messy. We are human. It's about getting it done, as Tyler Clemene would say. It's not about doing it perfectly, it's about getting it done. So, I shaded all the way across. Here is my intersecting lines, my crosshatch, so I'm going to put a 0 there. Okay, so then I ask myself, how many did I create that had crosshatch? So I flip it over on the back and I say 1. So that's my numerator. Then I flip it back over and I say, okay, how many pieces did I create when I made my folds? 1, 2, 3, 4. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pieces. So that's my denominator, part over whole, right? Okay, so 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4. Again, look at relationships that you could be making there and think about that. And that is all they had to do for homework tonight. Have a good night.